in my case, I was overly protected as a kid, and you've met these people. You can't really trust them to do anything. You don't know what they're going to do. It's like you give them something and they're going to fail at it, and they're not living up to their responsibility. Um, in my case, during Netrunner, I used to play custom Baltics a lot and Exile, and these were the weakest faction. And competitive players, they'll just crush me. And it's like, oh my god! Like turn one, I could see myself being crushed. There's virtually no way for me to win from turn one, and that's no fun because I'm not living up to my maximum responsibility. It's my responsibility to be competitive, to play the game. But if I'm just going to turn up and surrender, then there's no game, and there's no point for some people. So that was something I learned. And people would ask me why I play custom Baltics. Well, I'm not on the responsibility side of things. I'm more on the meaning side of things. Like this video, for example, I just do it just cause of the hell of it. But right now I'm doing it because of a responsibility, not because I want to, but because I feel like literally one person commented to ask me to make this video, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. I literally stopped. The first part. I literally stopped it because, my mother came in and I just wanted to stop. But because of responsibility, I'm actually going to finish this, and that was lacking from when I was playing Netrunner. All I was doing was just turning up and having a meaning. I was just playing customers because I felt like it. It was because it meant something to me. I wasn't doing it to play the game. I was doing it to play my game because it meant to me. And like again, lots of people would ask why. Well, take life like in life. You go out, you do your job, right? Now, some of you are going to be top tier at doing your job, and there's going to be people that are not so good at doing their job. And I'm used to not being the best at doing my job. I feel like it reflects me more as a person. And I see people plan and do things, and it's like, yeah, but it feels like a lie. I want to understand the truth of some things. And when I see some people that are just really good at doing something, I'm like, okay, but what about the other people? What about the people who kind of suck at everything? Where are they going to go? What do they do? I mean, if that's what you have to do in this game, why can't these people exist? Okay, let's take a look. Let's break the game down. And that's what I did with Netrunner. That's what I did with C Location. That's what I did with Netrunner. It's like, okay, what would it take for custom Baltics to like be not competitive, but to stand a chance? I mean, really stand, not just the one win like after every 20 games, but what would it really take? Right? And whose responsibility is that? It's custom Baltics' responsibility to win. But the game designers made it in such a way that custom Baltics literally had virtually no chance of winning. And Exile had no chance of winning. Whose responsibility is that? It's not the person playing the opposite. It's not my opponent's job to make custom Baltics good. It's my job. If I'm playing that card, it's my job to make that good. But if that card just like has so many drawbacks, it's like a short person playing basketball. A short person can play basketball, but in general, you want tall people because you want to be able to score more points. It's like a person who's not a doctor being a surgeon. There's no. You wouldn't want that. You want someone who's responsible, and that's what responsibility is. I like that. Now, here's where the solve is on why I play custom Baltics. We're going to go to level 4. And this is the realm of ideas and memory. And not many people reach this stage. Most people tend to stop around stages 2 or 3. Like, for example, your parents will stop. They'll just be responsible for you as your children. If they're good parents, they'll be completely they'll be responsible for you and look after you and make sure you're okay. Or if they're going to be artists, they're going to be artists. But not many people reach this 4th stage, and that's ideas and memory. Now, let's take someone like Bill Gates. He had an idea. He created Microsoft. Like, the idea is, like, basically before that, computers used to type in all the commands, just a black screen, and then it will do calculations. But he came up with the idea of having a symbol, a friendly little thing you click on and it does a thing. You don't have to type in those things, you don't have to remember all these hundreds of commands, you just click on something, does a thing. Such a simple idea, changed everything. And now all computers have the little symbols that you click on and they do a thing. There's no, before Bill Gates, no one had an idea of that. That's what ideas are. Ideas are like the future. They're chaos. You don't know, no one, like, everyone has ideas, but do they actually happen? And they could change the world. But memory, on the other hand, this is old things. This is like knives or fire. These are things that have been around since the beginning. Like cave people had like simple like stone axes and knives and stuff and fire, and these are things in memory. So everyone, when there are like ceremonies built around fire. There are stories, like stories are memory. There are things as old as time, like marriage. Marriage is not a new idea. That's a thing that you remember. That's a cultural thing. Everyone has ideas of how things are done. But when someone has a new idea, everything changes. And there's no separating the two. The reason why so few people get to the stage is, if you're stuck in your own little world, your own sense of order, things work, you don't want to leave, why would you want to go outside in this chaos? Inside your order, everything is just going to be as you remember it. Everything makes sense. In your mind, everything is correct. But then someone comes along and then tells you something different. They come in with a new idea. And you're like, that's wrong. That's not how things are. But then someone tells you something, and then all of a sudden, you look back and you realize you've been tricked or lied to, or you've been conned. Let's take this example. Say you have a treasure chest. Your treasure chest contains like your gold. That is your order. The treasure chest is your order. You know that that treasure chest contains something very valuable to you, and it keeps you, it's like, yeah, I can use this to live. That's your order. Now, someone comes along and they've got an idea. They've got the idea of a lockpick, because before you knew that your treasure chest could only be opened with your key. But someone comes with an idea with a lockpick. A lockpick is an idea you've never heard of. It's like, what's a lockpick? Oh yeah, it lets you pick locks that you're not supposed to have keys to. And it's like, nah, that's not a thing. That can't work. And then it's like you think, no, you leave your treasure chest alone because you know that it's safe. But then you come back and you think, oh, your treasure chest is still there, everything's fine. But that person who told you about lockpicks is like saying, no, mate, someone's stolen all your gold. And you're like, no, look, the treasure chest is there. I've got the key. I've always had the key. That treasure chest is full. And it's like, no, it's not. Check it. So you check. You open your finger and you check. And you realize, oh my God, it's empty. Your world has changed. You're like, how long has this been like this? I thought the world was one way, but it's another way. And this new idea's come along. Think of it as like that. And that's level 4. And most people don't face that at all. You got on the opposite side as well. Like people who are stuck in war. For example, let's take a place like Sweden. They're taking in people from war-torn places like Afghanistan and whatnot, and there's having some difficulty because these people have been in warfare, and they're used to having to survive and scrape everything. It's like they have to kill to survive, and there's like bombs everywhere, like their houses getting blown up. It's like there's no sense of order. It's all chaos. I mean, they can steal someone's gun. They can get, oh, I've got a new gun, or they can get shot. They can lose everything. There's all this chaos. And when you tell them that this house is not going to blow up, they can't believe that because their house has been blown up before. Their people have stolen everything. They've hurt them. They've been shot. They've been tortured. These things have happened. So the idea that this place is safe, they can't handle that. Their memory has always been chaos, and it can't change. That new idea that everything is, yeah. And not everyone can reach that stage of changing their mind. And it takes a long time. And as for Netrunner, that happened to me right at the beginning, because before Netrunner, I used to think about winning. I never thought about losing. I never thought about like who's going to play these cards. Because before, used to buy cards. Used to be random packs of cards, and every day there'd be new cards. It's always chaos, always chaos. But with Netrunner, there was a set amount of cards. They come out in a set amount of time, and you play them. All the cards were there. There's new. Everyone had all the cards. There was no surprise. Everything was in order. There was an order to things, and I was not used to that. I was used to the chaos of everything's new. There's no way of knowing what's going to be the best. What are you going to do? But now, for the first time with Netrunner, things are like, okay, you've got all the tools. He's got all the tools. She's got all the tools. It's just who's the best. You all have a chance. And then when it became, we've all got a chance, it's like, oh crap, I'm actually not that good at this game. I mean, I've got the same tools that this person has. I've got the same information that this person has, but I'm not that good. It's not because I don't have the best cards because I lost at the chaos. It's because in this order, with all the things being equal, I am not that good. And that was a new idea for me. I had to face the fact that I'm not that good. And for years, my mother had been telling me that I could do anything. Everyone was telling me that, oh, you're so smart, you could do everything. It's like, no, I couldn't. No, I couldn't, because one-on-one, with all things being equal, this person's better. And it's like, what do I do? So I retreated. I played Custom Basics, I played Exile, and it's like, these cards are no good. Okay, so now that I've got all these, now that I've taken all this extra stuff away, what's the difference between me and this person? When we were all using the same cards, like we were both using the best cards, I realized that I wanted to use these cards in a special way. The other person I was playing against just generally wanted to win the game. And there's like a strict formula to win the game. And it's like they worked it out and they followed it. I can't follow it. I wanted to be a special snowflake to follow meaning. I didn't care about responsibility. My responsibility wasn't winning a game, it was trying to be special. And I had to break myself of that. So I gave myself these chains, Custom Robotics, XR. I had my chains. It's like, okay, now I've got this, now I can try and do what's best. Now I can try and learn about these things. And I learned a lot. One thing I learned was racism. I never really experienced racism. But when I started trying to make my case for, hey, Custom Robotics isn't equal, it's not good, it needs help. Help it. The game's broken, the game's not balanced. How do I get help? Everyone was like, no, just change. Play better cards. It's like, no, you don't understand. This card is broken. And it's not broken that it's so good that the other ones are bad. It's like, this card is so bad It's like, yeah. It's like, why does it exist then? How are you going to help this? If you're gonna have allow these bad cards to exist, then what's the point of them? Stop making bad cards. Make good cards. And so, and it took me a while to make my case. Same thing with racism. Oh, this person is more privileged. This person's better than this person. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. This person is doing one thing and this person's doing nothing. They've all got the same cards. Okay, well, now this person, okay, and then it's like, okay, let's take that away. Let's take that away. Okay, now let's say, for example, that this person is playing custom politics. This person is disadvantaged, right? Let's say that. How did that happen? Are they disadvantaged because they got one arm? No, they got two arms? Okay, fine. Is this person disadvantaged because they're weaker than them? No, fine. Is this person dumber than this person? No. So why is this person suffering? Why isn't this card working? Why isn't this person working? Oh, well, okay, and it took me a while to figure out with Netrunner. In Netrunner, it used to be the case that there used to be recursion. Let me explain recursion. Recursion is like if you get a good card, use it, the card is gone from the game. That's what things used to be like. But with recursion, you can bring the card back and use it as many times as you want if you have the correct combos. And that's what some of the best cards, that's what some of the best players were doing. They were recurring the strongest aspects they had. Custom Baltics has no ability. All it has is you start the game with a little of extra stuff, that's it. But it has no ongoing ability. The best players were always doing the strongest thing over and over and over and over and over again. And they were doing recursion. So that was the first thing I cottoned onto. And I was saying, hey, custom Baltics, my decks have no recursion. Okay, let's put in some recursion. Deck did a lot better. A lot better. It was even winning some games. It was like it was on 30% winning streak. Before it used to be 10%, now I'm up to 30%. Strong decks are like 70%, but for me, a 20%, like 3 times more success was a big thing, and I started to learn more. I said, okay, what's the next thing that I'm missing? Credits, money. So I started putting in more money cards. Deck did a little better, did twice as good. Now I was up half and half. I was winning like 40%, 50% of my games because I put more money in. I couldn't break more than that often. Because the one difference that was inbuilt was the card ability. The top decks had a good ability. Custom Baltics had a bad ability. I could not find a way around that. That's a fact of life. I could not. If someone's smarter than you, they're going to do better. That's a fact of life. But when I started to apply it to racism, I was thinking, okay, let's put the Netrunner principles with racism. Let's see what happens there. Okay. So, black people are asking for equality. Okay, that's fine. That's great. I can agree with that. Then they were saying stuff like white privilege. And for a while I was okay with that, but I couldn't figure it out. It's like, no, that's, in my opinion, it's not that white people are privileged. It's that they've got more resources in general to begin with, the result of a war. Let me give you an example. Let's take A and B. If A has a war with B and A wins and they take their stuff, in general, A has an advantage. It's not that A is better than B, it's just that A has an advantage. They've got more stuff because they took it from B. So if you're starting from 0 and A is starting from 10, trying to get to 100, there's going to be a bit of a disparity because if you're adding 1, if you're adding equality, which is 1, everyone gets one per second. Then A is always going to win because they're starting at 10, no matter what. Because if you're asking for equality, it's like, no, B's not going to get ahead. So everyone was saying, oh, you know what, B should get 10 as B should get like plus 10 as well. Okay, yeah, and that's a great idea. But here's the problem. I can tell you that A has 10 more than B. You cannot say how much this one person, me as a person, has. I cannot say how much more than I have than you. Are we going to count up every single like white person and say, okay, they've got this much money, okay, black people have this much? Are you going to say like who's got the most? It's not. I mean, you can't do that. It's too late for that. Instead, just give everyone +1. That's it. Have the recursion. You can't change the ID ability, but you can give people the recursion. Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry if I went off topic there, but just to be clear, just to bring back the topics of this talk. Memory and ideas. So the memory of slavery, it's like it's still beating us. Everyone's like, I remember you did this bad thing to me. I remember you did this bad thing to me. I need to fix it. I need to fix it. It takes a radical idea like, okay, you know what? Forget about that. You've lost. That game's lost. Here's what we do now. Here's how we fix it now. Here's a new idea now. An idea like that is like basic universal income. Everyone gets like £1,000 a month, but like it's paid for it's paid through some tax leap thing like that. Everyone gets +1. Oh, but the A's are going to get to 100 before the B's. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that A gets to 100 before B. What matters is that both people get to 100. If both people get to 100, it doesn't matter who gets there first. Just make sure that both people can get there, because at this point, only A is getting to 100, B isn't getting to 100. Okay. A's won. A won the war. It happened. It's done. Just make sure that we can both get to 100, and that's it. That's the goal. That's my idea. That's the idea that came to my head. It's like, I'm done with that anymore. I'm done. I've lost. Just get me to 100. That's all I'm asking. And I think that's what people are slowly starting to realize. It doesn't matter who started it. It doesn't matter who's suffering. All that matters is that we're both suffering, and we need to sacrifice and save each other. Or there's going to be no one. We're just going to be fighting each other. There's no point to it. Okay, I'm going to go to level 5. And this is where things get weird. This is where things get super weird. Level 5 is where gods live. The number of people who get to level 5 are like, you can count them on one hand. Level 5 is objectivity versus relativity. Okay, no matter what universe you're in, 2 is always 2. You've got 2 things, there's 2, that's 2. We can both agree on that. No matter what universe you're in, you know, like we could be flying in the sky, like 2 is still 2. That's subjective fact. I am better than you might be the truth, but it's not a fact. For example, this apple is tasty. If I had an apple and said this apple is tasty, that's relative. One person might find this apple very tasty, another person might not find this apple tasty. They might have like a better tasty apple. But when I say this apple is tasty, that is the truth. It's not a fact, but it's the truth. And these things can cause so much confusion. Here's a fun game for you, if you want to play a fun game. I'm just going to write on the screen for you. So if you want to try this at home, you can try this at home. Put 10 here, just like imagine we have a 10. There's a 10 right here, right? 10. And I'm going to say 6 plus blank equals 10. Okay? What's going to be in the blank space? You can just say at home. You can just say at home. Most of you, pretty much all of you, are going to be saying 4. I say it's 1. And when I say it's 1, it's the truth. It's the truth. The number plus 1 equals 10. That blank space should have a 1, should equal 10, and that's correct. That is the truth. The problem is that if you were to take this on a piece of paper, you was to write 10, like 6 plus blank equals 10. If you turn the paper around, it is now 9 plus blank equals 10. Depending on which side of the writing you're on, it changes. On one side, it's 9 plus blank equals 10. On the other side, it's 6 plus blank equals 10. Depending on which side you're on, depending on your perspective, relative to where you are, the truth changes. And that's why it's relative. But it's objective fact, that's what's on the paper, is the truth. And it's because that some things are better for some people and some things are better for other people that we're always going to be fighting. And some people don't want to, some people think that fighting is bad. No. Sometimes you need to fight. Sometimes a fight is important. Have the fight. Because some people learn through cooperation and growth and that needs to happen. Yes, that definitely needs to happen. But sometimes you need the conflict, you need the anger, you need the frustration, you need to get burnt, you need something to happen. Someone has to suffer and die. Someone has to laugh at that, and you have to be offended. And then you have to say to that person, I don't like you that you're laughing and suffering at this person who suffered. And this person goes, yeah, but that person's my enemy. That person called me grief. And it's like, okay, I understand why you're laughing at that person because they caused you suffering and grief, but I care for this person, and that's my truth. And then they're going to go, yeah, that's my truth is that I need that person to suffer. And yeah, and there's no way around that. I mean, how does